Majesty, the House of Commons has elected me their Speaker, though I am but little able to fulfill the important duties. That their proceedings may receive from Your Majesty the most favorable construction. Qu'il plaise à Votre Majesté. La Chambre des communes m'a élu président, bien que je sois peu capable de remplir les devoirs importants qui me sont par là assignés. Si dans l'exécution de ces devoirs, il ne m'arrive jamais de faire une erreur, je demande que la faute me soit imputée et non aux communes, dont je suis le serviteur et qui, en vue de s'acquitter le mieux possible de leurs devoirs envers le roi et le pays, réclament humblement, par ma voix, la reconnaissance de leurs droits et privilèges incontestables, notamment la liberté de parole dans leurs débats, ainsi que l'accès auprès de la personne de Votre Majesté en tout temps convenable, et demande que Votre Majesté veuille bien interpréter de la manière la plus favorable leurs délibérations.
Mr. Speaker, I am commanded by His Majesty the King to declare to you that he freely confides in the duty and attachment of the House of Commons to His Majesty's person and government, and not doubting that their proceedings will be conducted with wisdom, temper, and prudence. He grants and upon all occasions will recognize and allow their constitutional privileges. I am commanded also to assure you that the Commons shall have ready access to His Majesty upon all seasonable occasions, and that their proceedings, as well as your words and actions, will constantly receive from Him the most favorable construction. Monsieur le Président, Sa Majesté, le roi, me charge de vous dire que, ayant pleine confiance dans le loyalisme et l'attachement de la Chambre des communes envers la personne et le gouvernement de Sa Majesté, et ne doutant nullement que ces délibérations seront marquées au coin de la sagesse, de la modération et de la prudence, il lui accorde et en toute occasion saura reconnaître ses privilèges constitutionnels. J'ai également ordre de vous assurer que les communes auront, en toute occasion convenable, libre accès auprès de Sa Majesté et que leurs délibérations, ainsi que vos paroles et vos actes, seront toujours interprétés par lui de la manière la plus favorable.
Honourable Senators, members of the House of Commons, it is with a deep sense of pride and pleasure that my wife and I join you here today as we witness Canadians coming together in a renewed sense of national pride, unity and hope. I would like to acknowledge that we are gathered on the unceded territory of the Algonquin and the Anishinaabe people. This land acknowledgement is a recognition of shared history as a nation, while continuing to deepen my own understanding it is my great hope that in each of your communities and collectively as a country, a path is found toward truth and reconciliation in both word and deed. This is my 20th visit to Canada, spread over the course of more than half a century, and my first as sovereign. As I've said before, every time I come to Canada, a little more of Canada seeps into my bloodstream, and from there straight to my heart. I've always had the greatest admiration for Canada's unique identity, which is recognized across the world for bravery and sacrifice in defense of national values and for the diversity and kindness of Canadians. To the First Nations, Inuit and Métis peoples, you have welcomed my family and myself to your traditional lands with great warmth and hospitality, for which I am humbly grateful. This year, we mark the 80th anniversary of VE Day and VJ Day. On Juno Beach, at Dieppe, on the Somme, at Beaumont-Hamel, at Ypres, and on Vimy Ridge. At those places and many others, forever etched into our memories, Canadians fought and died alongside our closest allies. Aujourd'hui, je vois des élus venant d'un bout à l'autre du Canada, de Saint-Jean's à Terre-Neuve et Labrador, de Victoria en Colombie-Britannique et d'Arviat au Nunavut. Je vois des gardiens des droits et libertés garantis par la Charte canadienne. En tant que roi, je tiens à vous remercier de vous mettre au service de vos compatriotes, d'un bout ou l'autre de ce grand et beau pays. You speak for your communities, representing an incredible richness of cultures, languages, and perspectives. We owe it to this generation and those who succeed us to think and act for the greater good of all. While the world faces unprecedented challenges, generating uncertainties across the continents with regards to peace and stability, economics and climate change, your communities have the skills and determination to bring a wealth of solutions. En encourageant la collaboration et en tenant des débats respectueux et constructifs, vous permettrez à ce gouvernement d'agir de façon audacieuse et juste pour le bien des Canadiens et des Canadiennes. It has been nearly 70 years since the Sovereign first opened Parliament. In the time since, Canada has dramatically changed, repatriating its constitution, achieving full independence, and witnessing immense growth. Canada has embraced its British, French, and Indigenous roots and become a bold, ambitious, innovative country that is bilingual, truly multicultural, and committed to reconciliation. The Crown has for so long been a symbol of unity for Canada. It also represents stability and continuity from the past to the present. As it should, it stands proudly as a symbol of Canada today in all her richness and dynamism. When my dear late mother, Queen Elizabeth II, opened a new Canadian Parliament in 1957, the Second World War remained a fresh, painful memory. The Cold War was intensifying. Freedom and democracy were under threat. Canada was emerging as a growing economic power and a force for peace in the world. In the decades since, history has been punctuated by epoch-making events: the Vietnam War, the fall of the Berlin Wall, and the start of the War on Terror. Today, Canada faces another critical moment. Democracy, pluralism, the rule of law, self-determination, and freedom are values which Canadians hold dear, and ones which the government is determined to protect. The system of open global trade that, while not perfect, has helped to deliver prosperity for Canadians for decades, is changing. Canada's relationships with partners are also changing. Il nous faut confronter la réalité. Depuis la Deuxième Guerre mondiale, notre monde n'a jamais été aussi dangereux et instable. Le Canada fait face à des défis qui, dans nos vies, sont sans précédent. Many Canadians are feeling anxious and worried about the drastically changing world around them. Fundamental change is always unsettling. Yet this moment is also an incredible opportunity, an opportunity for renewal, an opportunity to think big and to act bigger, an opportunity for Canada to embark on the largest transformation of its economy since the Second World War. A confident Canada, which has welcomed new Canadians, including from some of the most tragic global conflict zones, can seize this opportunity by recognizing that all Canadians can give themselves far more than any foreign power on any continent can ever take away. And that by staying true to Canadian values, Canada can build new alliances and a new economy that serves all Canadians. The Prime Minister and the President of the United States, for example, have begun defining a new economic and security relationship between Canada and the United States, rooted in mutual respect and founded on common interests, to deliver transformational benefits for both sovereign nations. Simultanément, le gouvernement œuvre à renforcer ses relations avec des partenaires commerciaux et des alliés fiables. Sachant que le Canada possède ce dont notre monde a besoin et défend les valeurs que ce monde respecte. Le Canada est prêt à bâtir une coalition de nations qui partagent ces valeurs, qui croient en la coopération internationale et le libre-échange de biens, de services et d'idées. Dans ce monde nouveau, qui évolue à un rythme frénétique, le Canada tracera la voie à suivre. La démonstration en sera faite dès juin, quand le Canada présidera le sommet du G7. The government is guided by its conviction that the economy is only truly strong when it serves everyone. Many Canadians are struggling to get ahead. The government is responding, reducing middle-class taxes and saving two-income families up to $840 a year. It will cut the GST on homes at or under $1 million for first-time home buyers, delivering savings of up to $50,000. And it will lower the GST on homes between $1 million and $1.5 million. Le gouvernement assurera la pérennité de programmes qui permettent déjà aux familles d'économiser des milliers de dollars par année, notamment ceux pour les garderies et l'assurance médicaments. À ces progrès s'ajoute l'élargissement du régime canadien de soins dentaires, qui sera bientôt accessible à environ 8 millions de Canadiens et de Canadiennes, leur permettant d'économiser plus de $800 par année en moyenne. The government's overarching goal, its core mission, is to build the strongest economy in the G7. That starts with creating one Canadian economy out of 13. Internal barriers to trade and labour mobility cost Canada as much as $200 billion each year. The government will introduce legislation to remove all remaining federal barriers to internal trade and labour mobility by Canada Day. Les premiers ministres de plusieurs provinces et territoires ont déjà pris des mesures pour éliminer les obstacles au commerce intérieur. Le gouvernement va s'appuyer sur ces progrès pour créer, d'ici la fête du Canada, un réel système de libre-échange à travers le pays. Il s'agit d'efforts essentiels pour permettre au Canada de réaliser tout son potentiel économique, mais cela reste insuffisant. To build Canada strong, the government is working closely with provinces, territories, and Indigenous peoples to identify and catalyse projects of national significance. Projects that will connect Canada, that will deepen Canada's ties with the world, and that will create high-paying jobs for generations. Given the pace of change and the scale of opportunities, speed is of the essence. Through the creation of a new major federal project office, the time needed to approve a project will be reduced from 5 years to 2, all while upholding Canada's world-leading environmental standards and its constitutional obligations to Indigenous peoples. The government will also strike cooperation agreements with every interested province and territory within 6 months to realise its goal of one project, one review. When Canadians come together, Canada builds things that last. Éliminer ces obstacles qui freinent l'économie canadienne permettra l'avènement d'une nouvelle ère de croissance grâce à laquelle le Canada va non seulement surmonter des guerres commerciales, mais en émerger plus fort que jamais. Cela lui permettra de devenir une superpuissance en matière d'énergie verte et conventionnelle, de bâtir une stratégie industrielle qui rendra le Canada plus compétitif à l'international, tout en luttant contre les changements climatiques, de bâtir des centaines de milliers de bonnes carrières dans les métiers spécialisés, et donc de faire du Canada, une plaque tournante pour la science et l'innovation. Critically, the government will undertake a series of measures to help double the rate of home building while creating an entirely new housing industry, using Canadian technology, Canadian skilled workers, and Canadian lumber. The government will introduce measures to deliver affordable homes by creating Build Canada homes. This mission-driven organization will act to accelerate the development of new affordable housing. It will invest in the growth of the prefabricated and modular housing industry, and it will provide significant financing to affordable home builders. The government will make the housing market work better, including by cutting municipal development charges in half for all multi-unit housing. The government will drive supply up to bring housing costs down. To be truly strong, Canada must be secure. To that end, the government will introduce legislation to enhance security at Canada's borders. Law enforcement and intelligence agencies will have new tools to stop the flow of fentanyl and its precursors. The Canada Border Services Agency will be given new powers to examine goods destined for export, to prevent the transport of illegal and stolen products, including cars. Le gouvernement protégera la souveraineté du Canada en rebâtissant, réarmant et réinvestissant dans les forces armées canadiennes. Il stimulera l'industrie militaire canadienne en prenant part au plan REARM Europe et contribuera ainsi avec des partenaires européens à la sécurité transatlantique. Et il investira pour renforcer sa présence dans le Nord, alors que cette région, qui est partie intégrante de la nation canadienne, fait face à de nouvelles menaces. The government will discharge its duty to protect Canadians and their sovereign rights from wherever challenges may come at home or abroad. To keep communities safe, the government will hire 1,000 more RCMP personnel. It will change firearms licensing and strengthen enforcement of yellow and red flag laws. Weapons licenses for those convicted of intimate partner violence and those subject to protection orders will be revoked. Through the deployment of scanners, drones, and helicopters, additional personnel, and canine teams, the government will stem the tide of illegal guns and drugs across the border. It will take these steps while protecting the rights of law-abiding gun owners and Indigenous peoples' long-standing hunting traditions. The government will bring a renewed focus on car theft and home invasions by toughening the criminal code to make bail harder to get for repeat offenders charged with committing these crimes, along with human trafficking and drug smuggling. During this time of great change, Canadians are uniting behind what makes Canada unique. La langue française et la culture québécoise sont au cœur de l'identité canadienne. Elles définissent le pays que les Canadiens, les Canadiennes et moi aimons tant. Le Canada est un pays où l'on respecte et célèbre les langues officielles et les langues autochtones. Le gouvernement est déterminé à protéger les institutions qui font rayonner ces cultures et cette identité dans le monde entier, comme CBC Radio-Canada. Protéger ce qui nous donne accès à des aliments frais, sains et de qualité, les producteurs agricoles, et protéger la gestion de l'offre. Nature is core to Canada's identity. In 2022, Canada convened COP15 in Montreal, which concluded with 196 countries striking a historic agreement to protect 30% of their lands and 30% of waters by 2030. To this end, the government will protect more of Canada's nature than ever before through the creation of new national parks, national urban parks, marine protected areas, and other conservation initiatives. The government will always protect the rights and freedoms that the Charter guarantees for every Canadian. The government will be a reliable partner to Indigenous peoples, upholding its fundamental commitment to advancing reconciliation. Central to this commitment is the creation of long-term wealth and prosperity with Indigenous peoples. For that reason, the government will double the Indigenous Loan Guarantee Program from $5 billion to $10 billion, enabling more Indigenous communities to become owners of major projects. As Canada moves forward with nation-building projects, the government will always be firmly guided by the principle of free, prior, and informed consent. Canada's immigration system has long been a source of pride for Canadians and of dynamism for the economy. The government is dedicated to rebuilding the trust of Canadians in immigration by restoring balance to the system. Le gouvernement instaurera une limite sur le nombre de travailleurs étrangers temporaires et d'étudiants internationaux, établissant un plafond qui, à partir de 2027, sera en deçà de 5% de la population canadienne. Simultanément, il attirera les meilleurs talents dans le monde pour bâtir l'économie. Et il fera savoir aux Canadiens et aux Canadiennes qui travaillent à l'étranger que s'ils songent à revenir au pays, il n'y a pas de moment plus propice pour le faire. Dans toutes ces actions, le gouvernement sera guidé par une nouvelle discipline fiscale. Dépenser moins pour que les Canadiens puissent investir plus. Day-to-day government spending, the government's operating budget, has been growing by 9% every year. The government will introduce measures to bring it below 2%. Transfers to provinces, territories, or individuals will be maintained. The government will balance its operating budget over the next 3 years by cutting waste, capping the public service, ending duplication, and deploying technology to improve public sector productivity. In parallel, the government will take a series of measures to catalyse new investment, to create better jobs and higher incomes for Canadians. The scale of the government's initiative will match the challenges of our times and the ambitions of Canadians. Honourable Senators, members of the House of Commons, when my dear late mother addressed your predecessors 7 decades ago, she said that in that age and against the backdrop of international affairs, no nation could live unto itself. It is a source of great pride that in the following decades, Canada has continued to set an example to the world in her conduct and values as a force for good. À vous et à l'ensemble du peuple canadien, mon épouse et moi-même adressons